A deadly year in Kansas City. So far, we've seen 110 homicides. And as leaders look for solutions, today Governor Mike Parson announced a plan in St. Louis. He's deploying more than 24 state personnel to the city, including state troopers, investigators, and analysts. There are officers investigating 136 homicides in St. Louis. 17 of those are kids under the age of 16, as compared to 5 children's deaths here in Kansas City.
Today marked the second set of meetings in St. Louis about violence. Considering the violent crime problem here in the metro, we wanted to know if Kansas City is being included in the conversations. Reporter Kat Reed spoke with the mayor and joins us live with that answer. Kat.
Well, guys, Mayor Quinton Lucas tells me he has an ongoing conversation with Governor Mike Parson about the violence here in Kansas City. But Lucas added some of the steps being taken in St. Louis are not ones that he would like to see replicated here.
Starting October the 1st, we will commit approximately 25 state personnel to get more boots on the ground and support law enforcement operations.
It's the latest effort to save lives in St. Louis. More state troopers on task forces and interstates, more help for the U.S. Attorney's Office, and funding for victim services.
These are additional efforts. There are additional resources. There are additional personnel, additional funds, and it's a real commitment to everybody working together.
Just down I-70, Kansas City is in the midst of a crisis of its own. 110 homicides so far this year. So why isn't the governor here?
We've got a very serious crime problem. St. Louis has a slightly more serious one, particularly given its small population.
144 homicides this year in St. Louis, which has a population around 300,000 people. That's compared to Kansas City's 110 for 490,000 people. Lucas isn't asking the Highway Patrol to intervene here.
Frankly, I think having people from out of town who don't know neighborhoods isn't actually a helpful approach to addressing violent crime. So we have not made the same request that I believe our peers in St. Louis have.
Democratic House Minority Leader Crystal Quaid took aim at Parson's plan in a statement, writing, "While shifting more resources to St. Louis is appropriate, that does nothing for Kansas City or rural areas affected by increases in gun-related suicides and local violence." Quaid would rather see stronger gun laws. Others want more flexibility for cities bearing the brunt of violence.
I would like to see the governor stay in his lane and work on legislation that would allow municipalities to control their own law.
Meanwhile, Lucas is meeting with the mayors of St. Louis, Columbia, and Springfield next week.
I want to see what good ideas exist out there. Frankly, we want to share what's working and what's not in Kansas City as well.
And Mayor Lucas says in his conversations with the governor, he's talked about ways to support investigations and prosecution, as well as adequate funding for social workers and also trauma care. Reporting live in Kansas City, Kat Reed, 41 Action News.
All right, Kat, thank you for that. We want to remind you all here at 41 Action News, we want to be part of the solution. If you know someone working to end violence in our area, let us know. We want to share their message to make Kansas City safer for all of us. Send us an email, safekc@kshb.com.